In his New Year's message to the great people of Burkina Faso, Africa's youngest president outlined some of his major plans for the country in 2024. Part of what he listed was the creation of a special rapid intervention brigade that would bring together elite units and elements of the special forces, achieving the goal of food self-sufficiency and launching the anti-corruption machine to tackle corruption in the country. This is amazing, and honestly, we shouldn't be surprised after all, because this is Captain Ibrahim Traoré we are talking about here, an African leader who has proven time and time again that he is very much interested in the welfare and growth of his country, and he is ready to do whatever it takes, even going against the powers that be to achieve this goal.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine now. There is need for us to talk about the development of African continent, about the African unity, I mean the Black unity, and there is need for us to talk about the sustainability of this continent, because if we really want to get away from exploitation and oppression as Black folks, we must sustain this continent. We must develop this continent. We must unite. So let's watch this video, then have a very quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
But even aside from his new plans for 2024, President Traore has already launched some mega projects that, once completed, will transform Burkina Faso. Some of these projects will be completed in 2024, so you better watch out for the new Burkina Faso. So what are these mega projects? 9. Construction of the new Ouagadougou Airport. This project was launched under the regime of former and ousted leader Roch Marc Christian Kabore in 2021 with a French company, Meridian. However, when Captain Traoré took power in 2022, one of the first things he did was to review the agreement made between the Burkina Faso government and the French company. And guess what he found? President Traoré spotted several flaws in the deal, including the taxation regime, duration of the concession, and discrepancy between some of the provisions of the contract and the domestic and international legal provisions. Well, we shouldn't be surprised. After all, what do you expect from the French when all they know is only to look out for their own interests? Anyway, immediately after President Traoré discovered the flaws, he revoked the deal and awarded the contract for different phases of the construction to different companies, including Sogea Satom Burkina Faso and Emirates Builders. The new airport, once completed, will replace the existing Ouagadougou Tamsé International Airport, first built in the 1960s. The project comprises a 3,500-meter runway and a 17,000 SQM terminal facility with the capacity to be able to handle 1 million passengers annually. This project is expected to be completed in April 2024. 8. Construction of a gold refinery. In November 2023, Ibrahim Traoré laid the foundation for the first ever Burkina Faso national gold refinery. This refinery is currently being constructed in partnership with Marena Gold, a local gold Burkinabe company, and will have an annual refining capacity of 150 tons. According to Traoré, there's no longer any question of us taking our gold abroad for refining. We'll refine it on-site because we know the real content of the raw gold that comes out. So, a few months from now, we should expect to see the refinery producing its first gold. The refinery will house a jewelry store and is expected to create 100 direct jobs and over 5,000 indirect jobs. So, not only will the country begin to receive better value from its gold, but it will also create employment opportunities. This is great news and shows that President Traoré knows what he is doing. 7. Modernization of all roads. 9 months after Traoré took over power, over 70 kilometers of roads have been built, and others are currently under construction to facilitate transportation within the framework of economic development, along with bridges to ease river crossing. The modernization of roads in Burkina Faso involves the construction of new roads, widening of existing ones, and upgrading of gravel roads to paved surfaces. And the Traoré administration has been hard at work ensuring that the roads in Burkina Faso are up to standard. Since Traoré embarked on this project, the people living in the regions where the new roads were constructed have expressed their gratitude to the president. I am very moved. The entire population is very satisfied with President Traore, who remembers us, stated a Burkinabe citizen. Six, nuclear power plant. Burkina Faso is currently one of the least electrified countries in the world, with only 21% of the population connected to power. However, this is about to change because in October 2023, Burkina Faso signed a deal with Russia for the construction of a nuclear power plant in the country in order to increase access to power in the country. According to Captain Traore, the nuclear power plant will not only help to meet the country's energy demands, but also that of other neighboring countries such as Niger. According to the deal signed between the two countries, Burkina Faso will achieve 95% electricity access for urban areas and 50% for rural areas by 2030. Currently, the proposed date of the construction has not been released, but we are hopeful that more news about the nuclear power plant will be released as the year goes by. 5. The Sandini Dam. The Sandini Dam was launched in 2019. However, a series of delays and challenges have delayed its completion. However, when Traore assumed power in 2022, the Sandini Dam project was nearly 70% complete. But he has made it known that finishing the project is a top priority for his administration, and he has taken swift actions to ensure its timely completion by allocating additional resources and urging the contractors to expedite their work. The project is expected to be completed in 2024, and once finished, will provide irrigation to over 100,000 hectares of land, greatly boosting agricultural production and improving food security throughout the country. In addition, the dam can generate electricity, which would reduce Burkina Faso's reliance on imported energy and increase access to electricity in the country.
Since becoming the interim president of Burkina Faso, Africa's youngest president, Ibrahim Traoré, has been keeping to his promise of transforming the country and ensuring a better life for his people. He has already launched and embarked on multiple developmental projects, as well as following up with projects that were launched before he rose to power. Ibrahim Traoré rose to the limelight a few months ago and has already made a lot of headlines, either for his outspoken nature, his dedication to the military uniform which he wears everywhere, or his way of greeting his peers and colleagues. The rest of the world, especially France, might not like him, but Burkinabés love him. In this video, we shall be counting down 7 projects either initiated by Ibrahim Traoré or to be continued by him. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. 1. Modernization of all roads in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has always struggled with inadequate roads, which is why there has been a lot of resentment. Despite being rich in mineral resources, the country is still one of the poorest on the continent with an inadequate road network. However, Ibrahim Traoré has continued from where his predecessor stopped by investing in road construction and rehabilitation projects to improve the quality and connectivity of its road network. This includes the construction of new roads, widening existing ones, and upgrading gravel roads to paved surfaces. Cross-border roads also play a crucial role in facilitating regional trade, connecting Burkina Faso with neighboring countries. Examples of road construction projects currently ongoing in Burkina Faso include the Boromo Bobo Dioulasso Highway, the Kupele-Fada Ngoma Road, and the Ouagadougou Bobo Dioulasso Highway. These projects involve the construction of paved roads to enhance transportation and trade in the region. The realities of the work on the ground demonstrate the immense progress made in a short period. Previously, the roads were degraded, narrow, and unsafe. But thanks to the commitment of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, this reality has changed radically. In just 9 months, over 70 kilometers of roads have been built, and others are currently under construction to facilitate transportation within the framework of economic development, along with bridges to ease river crossings. Traders can now transport their goods more easily and safely. The inhabitants of the regions traversed by these new roads, filled with joy, have expressed their gratitude to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. 2. Construction of Ouagadougou Airport. Ouagadougou Airport is an airport development project in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's government secured loans totaling $61.8 million from the West African Development Bank and ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development for the construction of the new airport. West African Development Bank will provide $51.5 million for roadworks, water systems, emergency service facilities, equipment purchases, and construction of technical buildings related to the project. ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development will contribute $10.3 million for the construction of administrative buildings. The total economic impact of the airport project is estimated at €420 million. Construction is expected to create nearly 5,000 direct and indirect jobs. A captive solar plant and storage system will provide 80% of the airport's electricity requirements. Maîtrise d'ouvrage de l'Aéroport de Donson, MOAD, is in charge of the project. The new airport will replace the existing Ouagadougou Airport. Burkina Faso's transitional president, Ibrahim Traoré, announced the suspension of contracts for the Ouagadougou-Donson Airport project on 3 January 2023, pending a review. A building under construction at the airport collapsed on 30 December 2022, resulting in the deaths of 7 people and injuries to 6 others. Construction of the airport has since resumed, and upon completion, the project will be a game-changer in Burkina Faso. 3. Multiple entrepreneurship programs. In recent years, Burkina Faso has been facing the challenge of terrorist attacks, which pose a threat to its stability and hinder its economic progress. To address this issue, a program has been initiated to strengthen resilience through the establishment of community-owned businesses. Burkina Faso's transitional president, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, recently launched a community entrepreneurship program to stimulate the country's endogenous and inclusive development. The news was disclosed by the presidency on Monday, June 12. The program aims to stimulate the creation of community businesses specializing in the production, processing, and marketing of local products in sectors like agriculture, mining, and industry. It will also promote the creation of job opportunities for young people. The project is led by the Community Entrepreneurship Promotion Agency EPEC, with the technical supervision of the cooperative company Scoopsier. The community businesses created will solely be owned by the Burkina Faso population. We strongly believe that this community shareholding approach is an effective alternative for meeting the economic, social, and political challenges we face, said Finance Minister Abubakar Nakanabo. EPEC intends to start the initiative with the expansion of tomato paste manufacturer Sofato to include 2 new processing plants and the establishment of a semi-mechanized gold mining company for operations on 3 sites. Other projects include an agricultural mechanization and intensification projects to create 1 million direct jobs within 2 years and a central purchasing office for local produce. Subscriptions start at 15,000 CFA francs, $25, including 5,000 CFA francs for registration at the Scoopsier and 10,000 CFA francs to acquire shares. Subscription is open to all Burkinabés at home and abroad, who can purchase an unlimited number of shares. 4. Samandini Dam. Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, ADFD, the leading national entity for economic development aid, contributed $10 million towards the development of the Samandini Dam in Burkina Faso. Supporting the country's strategic objectives, the funded project is part of the Samandini Basin Development Program, which aims to promote sustainable growth in rural areas and improve living conditions by boosting the agricultural sector and food security system in Burkina Faso. The scope of the project comprised the construction of a 2,900-meter-long and 23.9-meter-high earth dam, capable of storing 1 billion cubic meters of water and a 2.9 megawatt.
At a remarkably young age of just 35 years as of 2024, Ibrahim Traoré is one of the world's youngest head of state. Yet, this has not deterred him from his unyielding commitment to enhance Burkina Faso. He has already demonstrated his unwavering determination to tackle obstacles and implement the changes he deems essential for the country's progress. His enthusiasm to bring about positive transformation is truly remarkable. He has been in power for just over a year, but has already come up with many projects for Burkina Faso, and has also continued with some of the projects he met, and that will be our focus in today's video. We are going to be showing you some of the major construction and development projects Ibrahim Traoré is undertaking, and which of these projects have already been realized so far. Project number 1. The construction of the Ouagadougou Airport. The government of Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traoré, is currently undertaking a major project that is sure to have a significant impact on the country's economy: the construction of a brand new airport in Ouagadougou. To finance this massive undertaking, Traoré's administration has secured loans totaling a whopping $61.8 million from both the West African Development Bank and the ECOWAS Bank. This project is expected to cost over $420 million and should be completed by 2024. Perhaps most excitingly, the construction of this new airport is expected to generate over 5,000 new jobs for the people of Burkina Faso. Once the new airport is up and running, it will make it much easier for people and goods to move into and out of the country. This, in turn, is expected to attract new businesses and investment, which should have a positive impact on the economy as a whole. With a terminal building that can handle up to 1.5 million passengers per year, this new airport is sure to be a major asset for the country in the years to come. Project number 2. The construction of a gold refinery. On November 23, 2023, Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traoré, laid the foundation stone for the country's first gold refinery. The facility, developed in partnership with Morena Gold, a local gold company, will have an annual refining capacity of 150 tons and is expected to create 100 direct jobs and over 5,000 indirect jobs. The refinery will also house a jewelry store. The move towards local processing of gold is a growing trend in African mining countries, with Mali also considering the construction of a gold refinery. Project number 3. Modernization of all roads in the country. Despite being one of the poorest countries in Africa, Burkina Faso is making strides towards improving its road infrastructure. Ibrahim Traoré, the current leader, is continuing the efforts of his predecessors by investing in road construction and rehabilitation projects. These projects aim to enhance the quality and connectivity of the country's road network, involving the construction of new roads, widening of existing ones, and upgrading of gravel roads to paved surfaces. The importance of cross-border roads cannot be overstated, as they facilitate regional trade and connect Burkina Faso with neighboring countries. The Ouagadougou-Djibasso Highway, a significant road infrastructure project, is set to be completed this year. This 343 kilometers highway will link the capital city of Ouagadougou to the Djibasso region in the northern part of the country. Other notable road projects include the Ouagadougou-Kaya Highway and the Ouagadougou-Zanire Highway. The government of Burkina Faso is also planning to construct new roads and rehabilitate existing ones in the rural areas. Such efforts will undoubtedly improve the quality of life for the inhabitants of these regions, making their daily lives safer and more comfortable. The transformation of Burkina Faso's road infrastructure is a significant milestone in the country's development, and its citizens are overjoyed to witness these changes. The Zagtouli Solar Park. Since President Traoré took office, there has been a surge in renewable energy projects, with a particular focus on solar energy due to the country's abundant sunlight. One notable success story is the Zagtouli Solar Power Plant, which boasts an impressive capacity of 33 megawatts. Burkina Faso is also exploring the potential of biomass and biogas projects that utilize agricultural waste for energy production. These initiatives are a step towards reducing the country's reliance on fossil fuels, mitigating climate change, and fostering sustainable economic growth. Burkina Faso is committed to achieving its renewable energy targets and paving the way for a brighter, greener future. The Samandeni Dam. Rising on the Comoé River near the border with Côte d'Ivoire, the Samandeni Dam project symbolizes both the hopes and hurdles faced by Burkina Faso. Decades in the making, this large-scale initiative aims to provide hydropower, irrigation, and improved water access, potentially transforming the region. After years of delays and challenges, the dam nears completion, with an expected inauguration in 2024. When Ibrahim Traoré assumed the presidency of Burkina Faso in September 2022, the Samandeni Dam project was nearly 70% complete. Traoré has made it clear that finishing the project is a top priority for his government, and he has taken swift action to ensure its timely completion. By allocating additional resources and urging contractors to expedite their work, Traoré aims to bring the benefits of the dam to the people of Burkina Faso as soon as possible. Once finished, the Samandeni Dam will provide irrigation to over 100,000.
Then we'll not have a problem about the principle of rotation. We must first understand its purpose. And if you have a problem with the type of a candidature that Southern Africa is presenting, for instance, you will rather say, we agree with the rotation and therefore will suggest that the North must take it. Let the debate be about which regions have not received and which region will you support. Not that the regions who have never received must wait for some ratification to apply a principle that seeks to unite the continent. The forefathers who came before us wanted to eliminate unnecessary contestation amongst Africans by coming up with these democratic principles which will cover all the regions. If you're concerned about the unity of this continent and you are not serving the interest of the imperialist and colonialist, you will never have a difficulty on application of a principle that will unite Africans. Yes. And that's what this body is about. Yes. So it is so embarrassing that former leaders of this institution can do everything in their power to divide this institution and to undermine the legitimacy of this institution. You can use your majority and keep this power and this presidency in your regions. And if that is the unity of Africa you are talking about, that power must only circulate in your regions, go on with it. But be aware that you are serving the interest of imperialism that seeks to keep us divided. The unity of this continent will not wait for ratification of anything. Yes. The unity of this continent needs us to apply it as in yesterday. We don't require any ratification of anything for us to be united. And anyone who says we require ratification, that person doesn't know what unity is about. Unity is about us coming together with a paper or no paper. When you see an African saying, this is what will unite.
Point of order. Where are we? Where are we, the people? Africa is always receiving Palestine as a symbol of the liberty.
On a point of order, Chair.
Mr. President.
On a point of order.
Please let me finish what I have to say. What?
On a point of order, Chair. I'm here. On a point of order, Chair.
Wait a moment, Honorable Malema.
But this is how it's going on. Are we...
Chair, I'm rising on a point of order.
Honorable Malema.
I'm rising on a point of order. I fully agree. Honorable member is presenting. I agree entirely. But we are in the middle of a discussion of a report. Can we exhaust the report and come back to this motion? Because it's an important motion which cannot be discussed as a by the way. It needs to be a substantive motion where we'll even take a decision as Pan-African Parliament. So let's have a proper discussion on that motion, not in the middle of the report. I don't know what type of procedure is this, where you can just stand up in the middle of a report and say something completely different. We agree with that motion. We are all here. And we're not going to allow this parliament to adjourn until it has taken a decision on what is happening in the Middle East. But for now, let's exhaust the report and come back to the motion, please.
I agree, Mr. President, on what he just said, but what you don't know that this paper is presented since a year and a half now. A year and a half, there is a motion that nobody wants to listen to. And that's why today we have 60%.
Honorable Mustafa.
I agree with you. We need the day to talk.
Honorable Mustafa, have a seat. I invite please. Honorable Julius Malema from South Africa. You have the floor.
Thanks very much, Vice President, and thank you very much, President, for the report. I think our problem starts with the titling of the report, because you call it an activity report. And therefore, by calling it activity report, it means that you are asking the President to come and present the diary of what he has done, where he has been, and all that. And I don't know if that is in terms of the rules and the constitution that constitutes this body, because ordinarily we should be getting the state of Africa through the President. And the state of Africa will then include politics of our continent, the economy of our continent, and the security of our continent. The politics of that state of Africa will, amongst other things, tell us if we are achieving the strategic objective of this institution, or we just talk about which countries we visited and how many days we have spent there and how much we have spent. That is a degeneration. It's not politics. I think that we are forgetting that gathering here, we are politicians. And at all times, we must speak politics on how do we reposition Africa as an equal partner in the geopolitics of this world. So the degeneration of diary times and delegations and money is actually an insult to this institution and to the people of Africa. So I think that as we go forward, Mr. President, we may have to retitle this report, and we may have to write it differently. For instance, it can't be a report of 3 months. It has to be a report of your term from the last 3 years. When you got in, what were the resolutions? What was your mandate? Have you achieved that mandate? So it's an incorporation of everything else you have been reporting in between since the election and the new elections. But equally, the President should not hesitate to start this type of a meeting with this type of a report, because you ought to set the tone. You cannot speak at the end. You ought to speak much, much more earlier, so that you gave the meeting direction and were able to say, this is where we are, this is where we come from, how do we move forward? I hate a situation where I meet with politicians and we discuss diaries and human resource. We cannot be discussing human resource from a president. We must be discussing politics, and that's why there are cracks. That's why there is no clear explanation of where, if you pardon me, Chair, there's no clear explanation of how far are we with regard to the people of Western Sahara, how far are we with issues of terrorism in our continent, and all of that. Why? Because you think those are not important issues. You ought to narrow yourself down to more technical and administrative issues, and politics take a back seat. If you want to be those types of politicians that are obsessed with human resource, you must know you are failing this continent.
Now, brothers and sisters, there is a time I took a moment to go through BBC and CNN, and whatever they were saying about Africa, and more specifically, the Sahel region. And I did find a lot of criticism about Africa and the leadership of Africa. And I sat myself down, and I started wondering, since when did we African people start talking about the leadership in the US, the leadership in the Western countries? And if we have never done that, unless for the puppets who have always taken side for whatever is going on in the US and in those Western countries. And I sat down. I started thinking about why they're so much interested in Africa, why they're so much concerned about black folks, and why they cannot rest if black folks keep silent. Did you know that if black folks decided to keep silent, the African Americans, the African diaspora, that they will be at unrest. They will not sit down and have a meal, because you talking about whatever you feel about them and how you feel about the justice and the injustices that are happening is whatever makes them feel good. And they are now, they get convinced that we are not plotting anything against them when we talk, because a silent man is a dangerous man. So then I started asking myself some questions. If Africa is that important to them, if Africa is that, and if black folks are very much important to the West and to the white folks, why do they mistreat us? Why have they allowed chaos and mayhem to happen in Africa under their watch? They have sponsored chaos. They have sponsored mayhem. And now I was watching a documentary that came from the Republic. I think it is the only documentary or two documentary from that country, the Central Republic of Africa. If you have your time, go see whatever is happening there in the DRC Congo, because they know these are the richest countries in the world with mineral resources. So if at all peace could be there, their people could have not allowed the exploitation of their mineral resources. So what do? They sponsor chaos in Africa. They use the puppet leaders in Africa with the same thing happening right now. They have used Rwanda to fight at the DRC. So that's whatever is happening in Africa, because everyone has an interest in Africa. Not even Russia is good to Africa. Not even the Chinese are good to Africa. It is only the African continent which can be good to itself. Wake up, black folks. So if people are talking about the African continent in a special way and relating it to Russia and all of this, Russia will actually unite with the US. Watch. I've told you that Russia will actually unite with the US when black people start revolting against the whiteness, when black folks start rebelling against oppression. They will want to respond back, and the only way to respond back is by uniting themselves against us. So there is need for black folks to develop this continent and conduct mass civic education in Africa and in the diaspora about the importance of having African continent as one and united. That black folks are in the United States of America, black folks in Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and all these countries in the UK, in Germany and Spain must come together. From the Caribbean, they must come together. Realize that no one wants good for them. And the systems have been conditioned to bring you down in a way that you all work to pay mortgages the rest of your life, right? And pay loans. And you die leaving no investments. So if we really want to save ourselves, if we really want to support the likes of Ibrahim Traoré to bring the change that we need in Africa, the development that we need in Africa, we must first change the mentality. that we've been having about Africa for the longest time. I talk to a few African Americans and a few African diaspora from different countries on a daily basis, and I get some with crazy facts about Africa, with crazy stereotypes about Africa. Others will tell you how Africans lack food. They have no internet. They have no phones. They live in total darkness. They still live in bushes, harvest fruits. They hunt and harvest fruits. So if we still see Africa in those lines, oh my brothers and sisters, we still have a long way to go. If we still need to educate our people from thinking about Africa as a jungle to thinking about Africa as a sovereign society that we want to be, it's going to take time, right? And we are here and we are never going to give up as Black folks. We are always going to get united because the systems are not, they are not for us, right? Even if the Black folks decided to install one of their presidents in the US, it won't work, my friends. The presidents will work, they will come, and they will still work for the white systems. So even if we had Barack Obama, he largely worked for them because it is Barack Obama who was after African unity sometimes in 2011. And I will not be afraid to say this. He comes from the same country as he comes from the same country with me. But whatever he did with African unity, even Kenyans are not happy. People are not happy. African continent is not happy with Barack Obama because it is Barack Obama who went after Libya, and he went after so many countries in Africa for associating with Libya. And the only thing Muammar Gaddafi did bad in Africa, leave alone the propaganda you hear about Muammar Gaddafi, the only thing that man did, they were not speaking about him because he had not talked about African unity. And the moment he went to the African Union Summit in Ethiopia, and he said that he was going to do everything to make the African continent unite, and that he is not going to relent until we have one currency, one president, one government, one military in Africa. That's when he became an enemy of many people. He was almost winning at the UN, at the AU, because he had received a lot of support until when his close allies were called to the White House. Then things took a drastic change, and that's when Barack Obama was used to destabilize whatever Africa was building. Since then, no president has ever talked about one Africa. Since then, they fear for their lives. So if we say, even if we are going to install our own presidents, even if we are going to install our own presidents in Africa, and I mean the presidents, the black president, the black folks in the US and all these other countries, we still are going to have a very big task, because the system are not for you, are not for us. They are theirs. And for us to be great, for us to make it, because they thought black folks were not going to make it until they started becoming billionaires, until they started becoming millionaires and employing their population. Then they got shocked. So we say that we must unite. We must support the likes of Ibrahim Traoré. We must support anyone with a vision for this continent and the vision for black unity. That's all, black folks. That's all we can say to this moment, that anyone with a vision about the continent of Africa, on how Africa is going to be self-sustained, how the developments are going to be conducted in Africa, how the African continent is going to be one. Until that time, we are going to support everyone who has that idea. But until that time, we are still waiting for us to be united. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. I do appreciate so much. One love. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. Thank you so much.